Okay, this is a test again of the system. What we're going to do is install the Microsoft sample database, Contoso, for business intelligence. This is the second Microsoft database that we have for business intelligence. The other, and perhaps better known one, is AdventureWorks. So, what we're going to do, the preconditions that you need before you can install that is you are going to need SQL, server, developer or enterprise. We need developer or enterprise because we are going to be running analysis services. So to be running analysis services, we need one or the other. You're going to need permissions to create database, and by far, the easiest way to come through and take a look at this is if you log on as the database owner, if that's possible, in your environment. Now, once we get into the video demo, what you're going to do, step by step, is you're going to search for the Contoso Retail using either Google, Bing, or whatever, and then you're going to download the files. You'll extract the files. You're going to copy them to the proper directories. I'm going to show you a little shortcut trick that'll make your life a little easier. Then you're going to fire up SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio, and we're going to do a restore. We're going to restore the transactional database, and then we're going to restore the analytical database, and then I'll show you how to come through and do a test. Okay, so let's step on through this. As you see, the first thing we're going to do up in here, and let me turn on my little screen drawer here, is we're going to come through and we're going to search for Contoso Retail. So I'm in Google or Bing or whatever you want to use down here, and I'm just going to type in Contoso. Yeah, if I can get the if I get on the right image over in here, I'm just going to type on Contoso Retail, and you see I've already searched for it before, so she's popping on up in there. But you could just search for Contoso and Retail, and Google will find it for you down there. And we're going to pop that on up, and you get a bunch of this baloney in here. But you really want is this download for Contoso. Make sure you're on the Microsoft site. One of the irritants to me is that people will look at popular sites and put little blips in there that are like that site, and it'll send you into all kinds of the wrong stuff in there. So you should be aware of that. But anyway, once you go into the Microsoft site, Microsoft in the address bar up here, you'll see you've got your downloads. And if I come through and take a look at it, here's my two downloads. I can go up to the top and blah, 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 blah. For retail industry, this database I've become more and more fond of because it has a number of different features that we don't have in AdventureWorks. And yet it doesn't seem to be as cluttered as AdventureWorks is either. Though AdventureWorks is cool. So as we drill down here, you're just going to click download. You're going to want to download them both. This BAK extension is going to be your transactional database, and your ABF is going to end up as your analysis services database. So you'll just click the download, and when you do, you're going to get that little pop-up, and you're going to cancel out of this because the download takes you quite a considerable amount of time. But after you download it, you'll let me come in and do this. I'm going to say download, and I'm going to say save as. And then I happen to save it into my a folder that I've got set up on my desktop called Contoso Files, or you could save it into your download folders. But I like it in here so I can find it more easily. So let's cancel out of that because I've already gone through and done the download for you. So again, what we have down in here is you came through and you searched for Contoso, got it, and then you came through and you downloaded the files. So now after you have your files downloaded, let me close my browser. Click over in here to Closer, escape out of that. Click that, close current tabs. Yeah, I'm done. Now I've got down here, and you're going to just double click on both, and you're going to get the pop-up. You're going to get this publisher could not be verified, which ought to concern you some because it's from Microsoft, but whatever. So you're going to say run, and then when you come down here and we're going to go run, it's going to ask you where you want them to be loaded into. And now let me cancel that and come in. I'm going to take where I downloaded the files. I went into the address bar, Control-C so I could copy that. And now I'm going to double click it, run again, and I'm going to paste into my path up in here so they all end up in the same folder, which I happen to like. And now say unzip. And it'll take a little while. And then I'm going to go back in and unzip the other one. And for doing that, I'm going to pause. Okay, everything's unzipped and down there now. And now we're going to copy the files into the proper directory as promised over in here. Copy to proper directories. So let's do that. Now, first off, I've got this ABF file up here, which we know is the Analysis Services Database. And let's come in and take a look at it. On this machine, I have a number of SQL instances installed. So I'm going to drill on down here. And I'm in Program Files. And as I drill on down here, I'm in Microsoft SQL Server. Now, coming on down, as you can see, I've got a lot of this stuff installed down here. And I've got several instances. Now we're going to take a look at instance number 2. First off, let's go in and let me find the other thing I want to take a look at. Analysis Services. Here's Analysis Services. This is instance number 1, the default localhost. And if I come in here to the backup, you see I've already got Contoso and everything else installed down in here in instance number 1. And I'm going to show you how we did that. So to make your life much easier, particularly in Analysis Services. So down here in instance number 2, if I come into OLAP, Online Analysis Processing, and go into backup, I've already copied it on in here. But all I did was I took my ABF file, and not my exec, my actual ABF file, and Control-C, copied that on over, and came on over here and pasted it on in. Now look at the timestamp. You see I actually worked with Contoso. That's why that's in there 314 because I did another backup. And here's the original that I just pasted on across. So now you have your backups already into your analysis services. Now you got to get the other one into your transactional services. So let's again come over into SQL, drill on down and find instance 2. You won't perhaps use instance 2. It depends on what you named the instance. And if you just have a single instance down there, a default instance, then you're not going to have any of this dot instance 2 or in the other baloney here. Perhaps you used an intelligent name. So down here, if I come to SQL, MS SQL, backup, you see there's that DW. Again, all I did was took my DW down here, copied it, and pasted it on over. And now she's into the proper directories. So let's go in and see where we're at right now. Let's check off something off the list. What fun. So we've searched for search, we've downloaded the files, we extracted the files. You know, I'm sure that there's some way that I can go through and save this. I just haven't figured it out. And I copied it to the proper directories. And let's see. Now I'm going to use SQL Server Management Studio, and we'll fire that one up. And I got to escape out of that. And I'll fire up Management Studio, which I already have up and running for you. And if we come down here, you see here's instance 2, but let me come through. So the first thing I have is here's my default instance. My name's Ron, and I'm at work. And if I come on down and take a look at that, here's the different databases that I have installed. And there's my friend Contoso down here. And if I move on down to default instance, localhost of Analysis Services, take a look at the databases. There's Contoso Retail. And now if I go down here and shrink that one up and go into my default instance of, instance 2 on SQL and my databases, you'll notice I do not have Contoso. So we're going to go through and restore it. So I'm going to right click on databases and I'm going to say restore database, and up pops my restore database option. And I'm going to say from device. And now I'm going to hit the ellipses, ... And this will come on up. Backup media is a file, and backup location, I'm going to say add. And give it a few seconds to go in and find everything. And while it's doing that, let me pause. Okay, I resumed. All right. So now we're back in here, and you see how where SQL went into the pre-configured backup directory, which is SQL, and there's Contoso Retail Backup, because you were smart enough to already copy that on in. So you didn't have to search all over for it. This isn't really that important when you're backing it, when you're restoring a transactional, but it's a real hassle when restoring analysis services because you got to go in and configure properties and all stuff. Just do it the easy way, like I showed you. So we'll say OK, and that sounds fine. OK, and to database, and we're going to give it a clever name, Contoso, and golly, what is with this deal? Contoso Retail, and if you want to give it some other name, I'm going to say demo. Sounds fine. And we'll come through and I'm going to place a check mark down there and I'll say OK. And again, I'm going to pause. It's going to take a little bit to bring this back in. Okay, so now I have a success. It's successful, and I'm going to close on out of that. And if I refresh, we now have down here on the databases, there's my friend Contoso Retail Demo, which really irritates me, frankly. So I'm going to rename it because I really don't want it named anything but Contoso Retail. So just for that, and come through and I'll do that. Now let's restore the analysis services database, which is the real reason I have you come in and copy it on over. So here I'm in localhost, right? Instance 2, remember we went in and looked at that. Database, I'll right click again, I'm going to say restore. I get my little restore pop-up, restore source. You notice it does look different, doesn't it? So now I'm going to browse, and the browse will even look different. And she immediately pops on in to where I had you copy that ABF database on in. So let's come in and restore Contoso Retail down here. Sounds fine to me, I don't care. And I'll say OK, and the restore database, I'm going to call it Contoso Retail, and I'll call it DW for data warehouse. Sounds fine. Storing, including, sounds good. And I'll say OK, and again, I'm going to pause while it's doing its work. Okay, she's finished, and when analysis services finishes, you don't even get a little, I'm done. Anyway, we'll go over here, and I'll right-click, and I'll refresh it. And there's Contoso. Now we'll go in and do the final check, which we're going to actually come through and test it. Radical. So I'm going to expand out. I'm back over into, no, I'm in the wrong one. Let me close that on up, close that on up, close that on up, so I can get into the right one. I want to go into Instance 2 into the transactional, and we'll go into Contoso. And I'm going to take a look at the table, and let's take geography. I'm going to right-click that little turkey. I'm going to select 1,000 rows, and execute the query. Zip, 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 zip. She comes through and picks it on up. Notice, oh, you've got a geometry field in here, so we can use this for mapping, which I do in my little course that I have posted on Amazon. Okay, anyway, so I've got this in here for geometry. And I'll move that on through and drop on down. Let's go in and take a look at Contoso. And here's my data warehouse down here. And this is a little different. So let me shrink this on up. And here I'm in here to cubes because I'm now in multi-dimensional space. Woo! Okay, so we come in here and we've got a number of cubes. I'm going to right-click this cube. I'm going to say browse. I should pause it. All right, she's not done yet. I'm going to pause and wait. Okay, the operational cube came on up off of my friend Contoso. And as I drop on down here, here's my measures. And, not really a course on analysis services, but measures are facts. Things, they're numbers. Normally things that can be added together, or they're semi-additive or any other baloney. But whatever. Here's the folder that they exist in. Let's take a look at our friend sales. And I'm going to take sales amount. I'm going to right-click that and add it to the data area. So now I've got $12 gagillion worth of sales. We have no idea of what, what we sold, where we sold it, whenever we sold it, but whatever. We'll come in and take a look at it, and let's add some of that. We're going to add some of that context around it by adding in dimensions. It's called multidimensional space. Facts like in the center, and then you decorate it with things like what we sold, and who sold it, and where it was sold, and all that other stuff. So let's come down here and we're going to take a date, and we'll take the calendar year, and I'm going to right click this, and I'm going to add to the row area. Sounds fine to me. So we see what we've got for 2000 blah 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 down there, and you've got that. That said, this works now. Now you can go through and you can have a lot of fun and go through and explore reporting and other things within analysis services. So let's go down and check. So now I got to do this one more time. I'm having so much fun. I'm going to come back in and cool. I've searched. Oh, fudge, I got to use my actual, because I can't draw straight from my mouse. Got a touch screen. So I download the files, we extract out the files, copy into the proper directories. You do not have to copy them into the proper directories. But let me tell you, your life will be ugly in analysis services when you try to go through and modify that. So life's easier. Then you're going to use SQL to do the restore. And then finally, you're going to come through and you're going to do a test. I know you're going to come through and do a test so that you can make sure it works, right? We like green. Green's good in everything except for teeth. Thank you.